Most people, if they're having that thought, keep that pretty guarded. Not Donald. He was right into it.
Like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Ever wonder what happens when a billionaire's dirty laundry gets aired on national radio? Howard Stern just pulled back the curtain on Donald Trump's marriage, playing old clips where the former president rated women and trashed his own wife.
If I ask you some names, can you tell me who the great beauties are? He goes, first of all, straight face.
While they were already married. Melania's reaction? Total Slovenian fury mode activated. She's gone full ghost protocol on Donald. Separate wings at Mar-a-Lago, different meal times, and a literal Donald alert system to warn her if the orange menace is approaching. Forget cold shoulder. This is Arctic tundra territory, folks. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome to the courthouse drama of the century. Today's case, the people versus Donald J. Trump, charged with first-degree marriage sabotage. The evidence? A series of recordings that make even seasoned divorce attorneys blush.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons.
As we open our proceedings, the defendant, Mr. Trump, is visibly uncomfortable, tugging at his too long tie as the familiar voice of Howard Stern fills the courtroom. "Play the tapes," demands the prosecutor. And suddenly we're transported back to those radio days Trump promised Melania were ancient history. Yet here they are, crystal clear and damning as ever. The jurors' eyes widen as they hear Trump, already married to Melania, rating women on his infamous 1 to 10 scale.
So, I'd say, well, Donald, I think Angelina Jolie is a great beauty. 7.
She's definitely a 10. His voice crackles through the speakers about a celebrity half his age, while describing his own wife in terms so objectifying the court stenographer refuses to type them. Even Howard Stern's notoriously shock-proof staff can be heard groaning in the background.
In your mind, a great guest?
No, a great guest because he would say anything that came into his mind. He was completely unfiltered.
Dude, that's your wife, one producer mutters, while Trump cackles on, oblivious to how these recordings might one day come back to haunt him in a mock courtroom YouTube sketch. The prosecution notes that these weren't one-off comments, but a pattern of disrespect spanning years. All while Melania was at home, presumably under the impression her husband had outgrown his locker room talk phase. The courtroom falls silent as security footage from Mar-a-Lago appears on screen.
He was talking about his daughter was the most attractive woman he ever met and how much he thought she was hot.
We witnessed the exact moment Melania first heard these recordings. A fascinating transformation from her typical poker-faced poise to what sources describe as full-on Slovenian fury. Body language experts take the stand, pointing to micro-expressions that reveal a woman not just disappointed, but genuinely enraged. Notice the slight flare of the nostrils, our expert testifies. In body language terms, that's equivalent to a nuclear explosion for someone typically so controlled. As if the recordings weren't damaging enough, the prosecution unveils Exhibit B, a detailed calendar of canceled appearances. Your Honor, we have evidence of 3 campaign events specifically designed to humanize the defendant to female voters, all canceled by Mrs. Trump within hours of the Stern recordings resurfacing. The prosecutor paces dramatically before the jury. This wasn't her typical reluctance to appear in public. According to White House insiders, this was something entirely different, described by one staffer as active, deliberate rejection. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence comes in a tiny blue box. The prosecution dramatically places a Tiffany box on the evidence table, still sealed with its white ribbon.
Like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
A diamond tennis bracelet valued at over $90,000, announces the prosecutor. Mr. Trump's pathetic attempt at jewelry-based damage control. A household staff member testifies that Mrs. Trump wouldn't even open it, instead instructing her assistant to put it with the others. The others, inquires the judge. Yes, Your Honor. According to our witness, there exists an entire drawer in Mrs. Trump's private quarters filled with unworn apology jewelry accumulated over their 18-year marriage.
So you sit down and you say, okay, Melania, we'll give you $300,000 a year for every year you're with me. If we should have kids, you get a bonus.
The staff has nicknamed it the Regret Collection. The courtroom erupts in whispers as the prosecution calls their next witness, a Mar-a-Lago security staff member who reveals the existence of what employees call the Donald Alert System. This sophisticated network of security personnel and household staff was apparently established for the sole purpose of warning Melania when her husband approaches, giving her ample time to exit any room before he enters. How exactly is Mrs. Trump executing this silent treatment? Asks the prosecutor. She's completely reorganized her living space at Mar-a-Lago, explains the witness. Separate wings, separate schedules. She's changed her meal times to ensure they never have to dine together. According to the household manual, if they accidentally end up in the same room, staff are instructed to create an immediate diversion, usually involving a fictitious phone call about Barron. The final piece of evidence presented sends gasps throughout the courtroom. Before and after photos of Melania's private quarters reveal her ultimate act of rebellion. Every photograph once featuring Donald has been methodically replaced with either solo portraits of herself or pictures with their son Barron only. The defense attorney weakly objects, perhaps she's just redecorating? But the timing makes this excuse fall flat. In his closing argument, the prosecutor reminds the jury that relationships require respect, not Tiffany bracelets.
Most people, if they're having that thought, keep that pretty guarded. Not Donald. He was right into it.
Come on. He would start assigning numbers to women and evaluating them. I'm like, is this guy for real? What is he doing?
Like
It's crazy.
rating.
Mrs. Trump didn't want diamonds. She wanted dignity. She didn't want gifts. She wanted privacy for their marital issues. Instead, she got Howard Stern reruns and public humiliation. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury is in. Trump's been found guilty of first-degree marriage sabotage. His sentence? An indefinite cold shoulder from Slovenia's finest and permanent banishment to the sad, lonely corner of Mar-a-Lago.
And he would get on. And no matter what I asked him, he would answer.
Yes.
In a very sincere and thought-out way.
The evidence was just too damning. Those Stern tapes exposed Trump's big mouth in 4K Ultra HD, proving once again that money can't buy class or a happy wife. Melania's revenge is being served ice cold, folks.
Rating them 1 through 10.
1 through 10, I went,
Yes.
yeah. But I'm like, who does that? It's pretty wild.
And the question on everyone's mind, will she finally dump the chump or continue this Arctic standoff? The court of public opinion will be watching closely. After all, nothing says "I'm done" quite like Slovenian silent treatment.